Does JPEGMafia like mean it? Like when he's talking, like what does he mean? Like what does he really feel? You know, is he a political artist? FT Signifier recently said that he was on a video on his B-Sides channel. I watched Open Mike Eagle on his stream sort of say, like, I don't know. You know, it's kind of hard to figure it out. Like, is he a radical? Is he a kill whitey kind of guy? Or is he a guy who's one of the best collaborators with white artists that hip-hop has ever seen? You know, like we see here with this little 16-minute project, We Live in a Society with Flume. I think to get to that answer, I need to start using a terminology on this channel that I've been kind of dancing around, but I really want to get into it. It's a term called meta-modernism. If you haven't seen it, Tom Nicholas released a video recently about the death of postmodernism, and I think it's pretty useful for understanding the way that artists like JPEGMafia make us feel, in particular their relationship to beliefs. So I looked up like on the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy and all that stuff, and in Wikipedia, I found the best definition for metamodernism from some random Reddit page. So thanks to King-9. Way to have a humble name, but a great definition. Modernist optimism and postmodernist critique are two opposing poles we must oscillate between. We must create things to be critiqued, and we must critique things as a creative act. By simultaneously constructing and deconstructing, we can have creativity without dogma and progress without agenda. So I think that's the way to think about JPEGMafia's work. That's why it relates to us so much in our time right now. He has that kind of modernist belief system. I do think he does have a lot of strongly held political beliefs. I do think they are to the left. I do think he is stridently against white supremacy and the American industrial military complex and structural racism and all that. But at the same time, he seems to be playing around with it so much and breaking it down that he's going between those poles, and it can be hard to figure out what does he really feel. Which really helps on this project because I think that's the actual unity of this entire 16-minute album, which I'm going to be describing in ridiculous detail because I've had all day to listen to it. It's only 60 minutes long, so I've listened to it for 20 times. Because the themes of this album, and it's unified. It's a 16-minute album, but it's basically on one theme, which is like what is real. So we can ask what kind of political philosophy does JPEGMafia espouse or not espouse, and we can wonder what is real on this album. From the first track, which is a song and not a song, the second track, which is called AI Girlfriend, the second song, which is called Is It Real? Third song, AI Girlfriend. Last song, Oceans Are Fake. We are all around this question of what is real and not real. And that's why I want to start right away with the first track, track one. Track one, that's a postmodernist name for a song because you're drawing attention to the form of an album and you're calling it track one instead of calling it a song. So is it just all a joke? Well, it sure seems like a joke. It seems like it's just a sketch, a little skit. But I think there's something deeper, and I think that goes to race. I think it goes to the best way for white and black people to work together in hip hop. That's what I think this project might be about. And that's what the cover's about. Look at the cover. It's a stock photo of a black hand and a white hand shaking hands. It's a stock photo, so it's a little bit ironic. It's a little bit funny. We're supposed to think it's a little bit cringe and intentionally janky. But at the same time, I mean, what is this album if not a black guy and a white guy shaking hands and making something really great together? I mean, that's what they've been doing for years. They've been working together for 6 years. And just last year, New Black History was on the JPEGMafia album. It was like the best song. Remember, that was the one with Future and Vince Staples? You remember that one? And then it ended with that crazy beat that was like my favorite piece of music of all last year that just broke your head. Remember that Headache Insanity? That was them together. That's what they were able to make. They were able to create together. Hands shaking. And I think it's all in this first track. This track one, this song. And it does so many things interesting. First of all, it's a skit, and it's supposed to be funny, and you're supposed to listen to it, and there's a lot of unexpected turns, and you're supposed to laugh. Great. There's a little animated movie about it. Great. Funny, hilarious. It's also about the way that they work. So I always bring this up when I talk about JPEGMafia, because he's always pushing forward avant-garde beats, right? That's what he's famous for. But like, how does he get to them? How does he arrive at a beat that's good? When you hear the song the first time, it goes and you hear him say, "Oh, I like that. I like that." And you like that too. Because if you're not discerning, you hear this beat and you think it's fine, you think it's good. And then all of a sudden, it turns and we're telling the truth now. And he's saying, "I don't like that." Now, comedically, this reminds me of the end of the Plug Bag song from Comedy Bang Bang. If you know what I'm talking about, you're happy I'm talking about it. That was a good song. I didn't like that song very much. It's a strange turn, but also it's really important because as the song goes, it gets better and better, but it's subtle. It's still this just boom and clap all the way through, but it keeps getting better until we land at the end with this emotionally awesome, rich, just like distorted, slightly New Black History style song, slightly like that, but it's this beautiful ending. And he doesn't even rap over it. It's just this beautiful song that they arrived at. And we've been laughing and laughing at all these jokes and these ridiculous terminology, like some pussy clown, what's the term? Spooky ass pussy clown music. I was listening to that with my 2-year-old today, and she went, "Spooky." I was like, I hope that's the only word you say from this entire album. And we just had this ending. How is it supposed to feel? And it's an introduction. I think it's a joke. I think it's funny, but it's also serious because we got to see how this beat actually works. But what do we do with this cruelty of JPEGMafia, the way he's just constantly attacking Flume? He calls it passive aggressive, to which Flume says, "I think it's aggressive aggressive." Now, it's comedy. It's comedy because it's funny, but also I think it's important, because we not only see discernment, but we see their interaction. We see that it's based on a kind of equality and a kind of honesty. He is constantly repeating that he is just being honest. He is just being true. He keeps, on multiple occasions in the song, he tries to say that he likes something. He says, "I said this is good because I like you, but it's not." And it's this expectation of excellence that I think is so important. And I think it might actually hint to why there are so many great white participants in hip hop who are not vampiric and just trying to take away, but actual participants. And I think it's because maybe we could see rap and hip hop as taking the jazz model of black and white collaboration instead of the rock model. Let me explain. In rock and roll, if a white artist and a black artist are playing together, it's almost always framed as the white artist doing a favor for the black artist. Think of Billy Preston playing with the Beatles at the end of their career. He's a great piano player. Obviously, getting to play with the Beatles is an honor, but they're still playing the art that his culture created, right? It comes from Billy Preston's culture and civilization. They are, for lack of a better term, tourists in his culture, but that's not the way that rock and roll was seen. Or the Chuck Berry concert in the 1980s that was organized by Keith Richards and the Rolling Stones, and it's like doing this great favor, and it's this weird inversion where black Americans create something and then white Europeans or white Americans then do them the great favor of permitting them to participate in a little bit of this art that they created. Whereas in jazz, it's different. Like in jazz, let's take the example of Miles Davis. You know, Miles Davis is famous for being a angry guy and for saying what was the quote? That white musicians lag behind the beat. He just says, "I don't know why." You watch that interview, look that up. Some guy, I swear to God, it's Squidward, just goes, "Is that because black musicians hurt more because of slavery?" And Miles Davis is like, "No." It's a very stupid question. So, that's Miles Davis' perspective. But a lot of Miles Davis's best collaborators were white guys. I mean, Keith Jarrett, right? And it's like, of course, he's the most demanding person you could possibly work with the highest possible standards. What you need to participate with him is absolute excellence. If you are good enough, you can play. And I think that's where we are with hip hop. If you are good enough, you can play. It is one of the rare places in the world where for the most part, white mediocrity is not allowed. You know, so how do you make it? Well, you have to be like Bon Iver. You have to be the alchemist. You have to be Flume. You have to do something that is authentic to yourself and excellent and pushing the boundaries and doing amazing things. You have to be Kenny effing Siegel. You can't just be some rando. And I think that's what this song is about. I think it's about this interaction between them and pulling it forward. And I know it's an outtake, and maybe this whole thing is a big goof, and I'm reading way too much into a bunch of outtakes. They're just trying to see if some asshole is stupid enough to start using words like liminal and metamodernism. Or it's very serious. Either way, if it's one of those two things, it's both those things, and we're back in the metamodern. He's not even really rapping in here, you know, just like basic rhymes. And he's telling the truth, and he has a peer. They are peers of each other. And that's this first track. It's funny and it's serious. I think I'm going to title this video something like JPEGMafia and Flume and racism. And I don't think it is ending racism, but I do think it's a way forward to demand excellence. You know, it's almost like the same way that like Bob Cousy and Bill Russell played together on the Celtics. I mean, neither of them were particularly racist, right? But like, still, they had totally different cultures, totally different ways. If you are good enough, you can perform, you can collaborate, you can be on the same level. Anyways, just what I'm thinking here. But it's a fun song. It's interesting. And then we get to Is It Real? Weird, kind of going through radio sounds, some Middle Eastern sounds, some like carnival sounds, and then this ridiculously awesome head nod beat. You want JPEGMafia to rap? He's not going to. He's just going to ask you, now tell me, is it real? Tell me how you feel. It cuts out to this really great R&B singer, Raven Lene, just singing these lyrics. It's not really clear who the song is for. Who's the song for? Is this for R&B radio? Is this for, who's this for? I don't know, but I love it. So maybe it's for me, I guess. I listened to this album first while watching a movie at the gym. I watch movies on mute, and that's at the gym, and I was watching Fear of a Black Hat. By the way, what happened to rap mockumentaries? There were a bunch of them in the 90s, CB4 and Fear of a Black Hat. And the record label guy just goes, if you put the song out this way, it just wouldn't be deaf, which I think is great because he's asking him to compromise. Then we get to AI Girlfriend, totally on the nose, totally of the moment, JPEGMafia. I think what he's able to do, why am I covering up my mouth? I think what he's able to do, super well is be like a rock star, kind of sleeping around with women. He's able to project that energy while also projecting kind of a Harvey P. Carr, self-loathing, masturbatory devil, lonely guy energy. He's able to mix those together, which I think works really well for his audience. Is it real? Is it real? Always the theme. The opening verse, always like this sort of chunky, sort of like Stromae. And JPEGMafia is so good at singing these frustrated male, masturbatory, obsessed songs, and these like pornographic lyrics, but you know it's about AI. How weird is it to hear lyrics that are like drop it down and you're on the pole and make it shake when you know he's not talking about a real person, or if he is, he's talking about a real person he'll never see again, because there's also references to OnlyFans. This ain't real. This ain't real. I want to feel you getting paid. I want to feel you getting paid. Man, JPEGMafia, you just threw that right out there. So we don't know. Is this song about a real person who's on a camera or an AI person? It seems like it's about both. And we have this interaction between the AI voice and him. And I was watching, what was it? Maybe R.M. Brown. I was watching someone else who was making fun of Mark Zuckerberg toilets, talking about robot friends and robot lovers, I guess. And like he had this whole thing of where he did the AI talking. There's some AI woman talking to him, and I understand. I could see if you were lonely, falling in love with an AI robot who's nice to you. I could see that. And this is right there, and we're right in this moment of what is real and what is not. And I don't know if this is actually a negative song. And then we get to the song "The Ocean Is Fake." I love this singing in the background, which is actually Flume singing. I think there's like a Moroccan drum. very cool, kind of like the snare sound is this kind of at least Middle Eastern drum sounding, more singing here, very chunky beat, very kind of cloud rappy stuff here. And then after this great singing by Flume, we have an actual verse by JPEGMafia. Yeah, Toxic King, shout out to all my mistresses. Going in between the sort of person who needs an AI girlfriend and the person who's a Lothario. The way she's running from it, I know she missed that shit. Look how I Eurostep that bullshit. Like, and he says, Joe kick. Just everybody. Just yo. How hard is it to know that J is pronounced like Y? Yo. If you have to say yo kitch, you can't. But it's yo keech. How hard is that? And Greg Popovich just retired as well. Tough day for Serbs in basketball. And it's a whole song that's like this whole idea of like she come around, but we don't share the same space. And it's funny because it feels like it's a love song or like end of a love song. He's sort of going between like being deeply in love with somebody and then like trying to be someone who sleeps around with lots of different people. But the way that he says, bitch, the ocean is fake. I think this is interesting because I think this is a bunch of things. I think it's sort of playing on flat earthers, right? Just like the ocean is fake is like birds are real. It's like one of these things that just who would say the ocean is fake? This is such a weird thing to say. But it's also a reminder of the way that distances are so easily crossed through telecommunications, through the internet. So that like the oceans are fake. I mean, the oceans, I mean, they're not fake, they're real. There's a fair chance like 10 people watching are going to drown in the ocean. What the fuck? What? Don't you put that on me, Ricky Bobby. I don't know why I said that. I know why I said that because I remember thinking like it's actually statistically probable or possible that my body will end up in the ocean. Anyways, I'm having a weird night, y'all. None of you are going to drown in the ocean. Okay. I'm in JPEGMafia land. But I also think this could be a love song to Flume because if Flume is in Australia and he's saying, I'm going back in time for you, like there's Australia's on the other side of the date line, right? So you can sort of imagine, kind of like in that Lucy Dacus album back there, sort of like talking to somebody from the future or from the past. And in a way, the ocean between JPEGMafia and Flume is fake, which kind of ties it all together in with track number 1. And I don't think it's romantic. I'm not saying that they're gay for each other. I'm saying that there's a kind of like loving collaboration here because then this song ends with them laughing and having fun. And JPEGMafia saying like, did they catch that? And it ends with a beat that just totally reminds me of the new Black History beat. And then JPEGMafia just like, fuck it. And it's like the whole album, when you listen to it on a loop, like I've been doing all day, it merges perfectly. And maybe the first and last song are both about the artistic collaborative process. And do you know what it makes me want? More. So who knows? Maybe there'll be more. Maybe there won't be. But that's how JPEGMafia and Flume solved racism. All right, I told my wife this video would be under 20 minutes long, and it turns out I was. Did you like this project? What should I learn about by Flume? Because I like Flume. Yeah. So I have a lot of weird thoughts about death. The other day I drove by the hospital in my city. I said to my friend, I was like, I'm probably going to die there, statistically. Okay, I need to stop. Y'all need to listen to some more cool music, and I will point at the camera and say that's where it is.